Hello, Mr. Big Nate here, and this is going to be probably the last installment of me going over the Necromancer. So I'm just playing here in the background, giving you guys a little insight into the build that I chose and what I've decided to run. And then at the end of the video, or at the end of the dungeon, I'll show you guys all the skills, all the stats, how I built it, um, the do's and don'ts of it, what I found as far as my play style, and how I, you know, how I was able to make do with playing with the controller as a necromancer. I know a lot of people were saying that playing with the controller as a necromancer is, more beneficial because you don't have to target the corpses, especially below all your pools of blight, which I think is a positive, but also playing with a controller can be a bit of a negative. While I'm running around, you'll see here, um, I'm casting my curses, but I don't really get to as far as targeting. There isn't much to be said for targeting with this with the controller. And I don't know about other classes. I've only been playing Necromancer. I feel this season I've really no-lifed it for the Necro, and I'm only level 89. I've seen other people no-life it in 2 weeks and get to level 100 and do Greater Rift tier 100, Dungeon tier 100, Nightmare Dungeon 100. And while I think that's all in good, I definitely was playing slower. I didn't really read a lot of the how-to videos and follow that until I started playing the game. And I was also kicking it with friends, hanging out, helping them level, doing some Helltide runs, just like chilling out and talking. And I feel like this game really, allows that to happen. While you don't have to be in the same area all the time, which is what I think is really cool. Like we could be running different dungeons. We don't even have to be running the same dungeon, at least as far as I know. Um, and I think that's really cool. I think that I like the fact that they can be sitting in town and I can be running a dungeon while they're talking or doing something else or looking at their gear. I think that's awesome. They can just join me when they're ready. I think that's a really awesome part of this game. Are you kidding me? And I feel that this is definitely going to be the future of of Diablo. While a lot of people want to go back to the old Diablo, I don't really see me doing that. Just because I know my friends, they're interested in the newer games, and I've always been like a Diablo 2 try hard fanboy, and as much as I like that game, and I may go back at the beginning of the seasons, I think this is the game that's going to have the most longevity for me, simply because I feel that there is just so much to be explored in this game and so much to be found out. And even when you do that, there's so many variations to the builds. So like you could have different types of builds for each class, even though you might run some of the same gear. I have no idea why this guy isn't dying. I'm gonna die. I couldn't even move. Oh, it's ridiculous. I don't even know what was going on there. Like all my damage fell off, and none of my things were on cooldown. I do not know what just happened there. But the idea is that um, I think that Diablo 4. I'm really happy to have found out what I found out this season, and I'm looking forward to, or sorry, this season, the beginning of the game, and I'm looking forward to the first season to really kind of perfect the build. I'll be going over that towards the end. I'll be going over. Well, I guess I can start going over it now. The things that I do with the build, as you can see, we've got Bone Storm. Every Necro class has been running at least Bone Storm, Decrepify, Corpse Explosion, and Blood Mist. I don't think there is one Necromancer class that can say that it hasn't been running those. The only difference after that is, are you running, are you running Blight? Are you running, Are you running other, are you running minions? But those 4, Bone Storm, Decrepify, Corpse Explosion, are kind of like auto includes. Maybe Corpse Explosion for the minion build might not be there, but I'm not certain. What I found for me is that, again, with the controller, being able to cast double curses for that immediate boost to damage is really nice. I don't have to wait around for corpses to be around for corpse tendrils. And on top of that, you'll see, I don't know if you've seen throughout the run, but like even if my health gets low, Iron Maiden, the second ability from Iron Maiden, which is what I'm going to go over, and to why I think the build is really well positioned. Are you kidding me? I'm full of stuff. Of course I am. The reason I think the build is really well positioned is because you can sit in the damage and not worry about healing afterwards, or the healing that you get from Iron Maiden is, you'll see at the bottom, heal for 5% of your maximum life when an enemy dies while afflicted with Iron Maiden. So essentially it just gives you life per kill, which is honestly a really nice stat to have in this game, due to the minions that keep dying. And life per kill in most other games, even in Diablo 2, Enigma, right? I think it gives you life per kill. It gives you like 12 or like 11, and you're like, sweet, I got a decent amount of life per kill. In this one, you're getting, what the? God, I love this game. I love the fact that you can't just sell to anyone. I don't understand why they don't allow you to sell to anyone in this game. It's really confounding, and then the worst part is when you accidentally buy something from somebody that can sell you stuff. I just wish that I could just sell. I mean, I guess there wouldn't be any reason to come to these guys, even though they do have decent gear sometimes. I got like a wand and some other things off the vendors. So vendors are actually really cool. Sorry, I'm just looking at my gear here, seeing if there's anything good. I'm really looking for a good, decent pair of gloves right now, and I'll go over all those stats once I'm done killing the boss. And what I found with this build, I digress, going back to what I've been talking about, what I found with this build is that I'm able to take down single targets a lot more effectively, because I have the Iron Maiden plus Iron Maiden and Decrepify combo. I get an increased shadow damage, a 33% increased shadow damage to enemies afflicted by both Decrepify and Iron Maiden. This is going in place of Corpse Tendrils, and the reason is because Corpse Tendrils is just so hard for me to have to cast. Like, I just feel that there's very few opportunities. Oh, this could be a really good cold ring, but there's very few opportunities for me to really make use of Corpse Tendrils, especially at the higher levels, because you're kind of using all of the corpses that are there. Crit strike chance, not bad. Dodge chance, nope. And big nope. And I'm also going to sell this because gems don't mean jack. So as I get back into this dungeon, I chose Iron Maiden because of that reason. I'm able to deal more damage more efficiently and more quickly, and I don't have to have the crit chance set up. And besides the crit chance on this build, already we have 43.5 with all of our bonuses, and I don't even have crit chance on the gloves, which is what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get off of Howl from Below, because having it scare away enemies is a real pain in the butt. And then on top of that, not having the crit chance on it is also kind of a pain. I get another 8%, a possible 8% crit damage there, or crit chance there, possibly more. I don't really, because the rolls on the regular one are up to 8. I don't know if I cast on this guy. Let's see, I'll cast on him now. All right, so we'll hit him, and you'll see that he just starts melting away really fast, and we're dealing a ton of damage. And the reason I think that happens is because of Iron Maiden and and Decrepify together. And also it incentivizes me to, again, I'm like, Decrepify is something you always have to put on anyways. And so it helped having both of them up and knowing that I'm getting a up to 40% damage boost from them. It's kind of like it makes you eat your vegetables. Okay, like that's the main point of this game, is that, you know, the way you're gonna succeed and do well with Diablo is that you manage your resources efficiently, you stack your skills the right way when you're using them. It does require a lot of work. People think that it's just like, oh, I'm just running around clickety clackety, whatever. It's like, no, if you don't use your blood mist or certain skills in, honestly, like almost perfect sequence most of the time, you'll be left in the dust like you saw. And I was left in the dust, and I got blasted by that one guy if I could because of his follower, or his cast, his hammer, or his ancients, or whatever that was going on. Strength, shadow damage over time. Again, you can get some really good things from these guys, and so always keep an eye out. But now I'm going to go into the build. So you'll see here, we start off with our helm. I'm going to say, so actually no, let's go into the skills first. So you'll see I've got Reap. We got Corpse Explosion. We've got Decrepify. We've got Iron Maiden. We've got Bone Storm. And we've got Blood Mist. Okay, so we've got all those skills all lined up. Now, we have dash on our boots. We've got triple dash. It doesn't, the evade bonus, whatever, it doesn't really matter for your boots. Any type is fine. I think having max evade charges is cool. I think having more evade during battle is cool. And I also think the movement speed one is cool. I really have no qualms with any of those. So that's kind of like how the build functions. We can go into our abilities, and we'll just kind of look at the tree really fast. We've got Reap, you've got Enhanced Reap, and you have Acolyte's Reap. So you get those three, and you'll go down to here. You'll want to fill in Hewed Flesh, 3 ranks of that. You don't get any of the core skills because we don't want to spend any mana, or sorry, essence, really. Here you get to the 3rd one, and then we max out Corpse Explosion. I'm willing to sacrifice Corpse Explosion on my amulet and my pants in order for defense, and we'll go over that. Nakabon already had a great video like 1 or 2 days ago where he goes over all this in full, and probably in a better, more manageable way than I have. I'm a casual, I'm a filthy casual player, and this is what I've come to. So Blood Mist is, I usually go 1, 2, 3, and I put whatever extra skill points I've had into Blood Mist. So you won't probably want to do this at the beginning, make it all the way up to 4, but in the beginning just go 1, 2, 3, just for survivability a little bit. And then we got of course Blighted, Corpse Explosion, and you got your Enhanced Corpse Radius. Grim Harvest, we only put 1 point into that, and then 3 into Fueled by Death. Going down to our next node, we get 1 into Iron Maiden and all its benefits. We get 3 into amp damage, and we get 1 into Decrepify and all of its benefits. I'd save the amp damage for later. Oh, and we also have Death's Embrace up here. I'd also save that for later. Really, you'd want to just get into your skills and then get into all the bonuses later on as you level. And I would say that the most important ones to get done first are probably Hewed Flesh, get Corpse Explosion up, and anything that generates corpses, so you can start doing corpse explosion-y things, and then you move on into starting to apply your curses and stuff like that. And then as you move down the line, you'll start getting things that help you do shadow damage. And then as you get that, you're going to want to get 3 into Necrotic Carapace. As you saw in those fights, I'm basically fortifying because of Lucky Hit, and you're constantly making corpses, you actually fortify, basically double your life total. So this makes it even more tanky. I don't know why people complain about this. I think this is a fantastic boost to your defenses, and it goes really well with Iron Maiden, because as you can see from Iron Maiden, you heal for 5% of your maximum life when an enemy dies while afflicted, so an enemy dies. You generate a corpse, and it's not from your skills, but because of the Lucky Hit and the Hewed Flesh, you are constantly generating corpses. Sorry, this is going to be a long video. Reaper's Pursuit. So you've got 1 into that, just so you can get to your gloom, get to your terror, and get to your crippling darkness. I would say the most you want to do first is 1 into this, 3 into your terror. Actually, when you damage, then take increased damage from you and your minions for 6 seconds. No, you want to do gloom the most, terror second, and then crippling darkness third. Again, these skills, it's like this is what happens when you're all done. Most of what you want to do is focus on, you don't really focus on this defense stuff until later, and I'll kind of go over how you want to do that leveling. Then you got your standalone 3, you got your Memento Mori 3, and you got your 3 clips of Bone Storm, which increases your crit chance by 20%. So you're getting an extra 20% crit chance when Bone Storm is active, which is amazing. And then of course we go down here for Shadow Blight for that massive shadow damage with your synergies and your skills. And so the way I would level is I would save a lot of these offshoots and these side nodes until you get your full skill tree. Once you get your full skill tree down, then you can start going into things like Memento Mori, Course Explosion, and you can kind of feel it out. Like I really look forward to the new season when I get to start from scratch with this build and really just kind of go all the way through it. Sorry if I'm being jerky and shaky. That's just kind of how the controller works. The controller automatically makes it go to a node as opposed to when you have your, your cursor and your mouse. So then I'm going to go into Paragon really fast. The way that you want your Paragon to be set up is you want to have, where's my Paragon set up? Oh, here we go. I go for the 4 glyphs of sacrificial. So you want sacrificial first in the first tree. It boosts all of your other abilities by an awesome amount, increases them by basically 25%. No, sorry, 125%. Yeah, 150. Sorry, 150%. So it turns all of your armor nodes into 125s as opposed to just 50s. So you're talking about 75 plus 75 plus 75 more armor. That's 225 additional armor, which is insane. Not only that, you're getting another 150% increase on your damage nodes too. So this is, I think, a no-brainer. A lot of people have been doing other things, but as you can see here, you get a flat 22.5% damage increase along with 225 armor, 21 dexterity, and 21 willpower. And then you get the ability, you deal 10% increased damage while you have no active minions. I think it's pretty much spot on. It's what you want, and that's what you should be doing in your first node. Second node, we get the Wither board. So you set up the Wither board so it's easy to get to. Right now I have 1 point into restorative. You don't really need this one. It's just I haven't really found another place for me to put it yet. And then you just go up the board. You see you were going in for some shadow damage over time, but it's mostly the damage to elites that I was going for with this one. Then we move up a little bit more. You go into your shadow damage over time, but again, it's more the shadow damage I'm going after for these nodes, not so much the shadow damage over time. It's just what I have to take in order to get up there. I could go 5 into shadow damage over time to get an additional 5% shadow damage. Don't know if I really want to do that right now. I could do that later. Then you're going to go into control. Control is a massive boost to all of your skills and damage. So it gives you 118.8% damage to crowd controlled enemies, and then it also gives you 10% damage to slowed or chilled enemies, and then an additional 20% increase to stunned or frozen. For some reason, this procs stun an awful lot. So you're getting that 20% increased damage to stun enemies quite a bit, and it really helps out. Then we're going to go up here. Yeah, that was the Wither board. Then we're going to go up here to Scent of Death. In Scent of Death, we get access to the beautiful, beautiful damage to healthy enemies. Damaging healthy enemies is so important, and then you get an additional 15% critical strike damage. I think that's a real no-brainer. So you're going over here, following up the board. Then we get up here, and this is our third node, Darkness. So you want to, of course, get all these up to 21%, level 21, so you get the max boost from each of your willpower nodes. And then this also gives you access to armor. Again, a huge boost of armor. You get 200 armor plus another 100, so 350 armor here. Amazing. And then over here we get damage to injured enemies, but then we also want this one because it gives us 50% damage to injured enemies and 10 intelligence. It's really good because usually when an opponent or a boss, right, gets down to low life, that's when they start going crazy. So getting that injured damage up is really beneficial. And then you're just maxing out all the willpower. Notice how all the willpower nodes are accounted for. And so this is getting the maximum amount of damage. Then we move up to the Flesh Eater board. So in here, you get the consumes 5 corpses, grants 40% increased damage. Again, that goes really well. It's just another, you're essentially generating another bucket for your damage to be put into, which is why I really like the Iron Maiden and Decrepify ability together, because it allows you to deal, again, another 40% increased damage to targets affected by both of them. And you always want your targets being affected by both of those. Then we move up here. So we go up here, go to the right, go right there. So we're not really wasting too much. And this is our fourth and final glyph. This is our third or our fourth board. Amplify damage. So again, enemies affected by curse skills take an additional 10% increased damage. This is in addition to the Amplify that we have, in addition to the Iron Maiden and the other one. So the cursed enemies are just taking tons and tons of damage from us, and that's really where we're trying to go with this build. It really makes it so, and yes, you could do this even if you were running Corpse Tendrils. You could be doing that. But I figured if I'm already doing curses, if I'm already trying to go for this route, might as well go all the way. And I could, if I really wanted to, if they eventually make, all res somewhat decent, you got access to all these all res nodes that will also be increased by 150%. So these would go from 2 to 5 all res for all of these. And then you get this one, which also gives you +2 intelligence. That's the reason I went for it. But I left the other ones blank right now because I don't really need them. But you'll see I'm level 89. That means we've got 10 more levels of Paragons, which means we get 1, 2, 3, 4 for each. So that's another 40. So there's a lot of wiggle room with this. I'm not level 100 yet. There's a lot of things we can do. And so in this one, so you want Flesh Eater, Scent of Death, and Wither. A lot of people say they could take or leave Wither. I feel like, I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like anything that you get, it increases, so it's like this chance is increased by 1% and bonus damage is increased 2.5% for each 50 willpower you have. So I have a lot of willpower, you see. I have the chance is increased by 1% and bonus damage is increased by 2.5% for each 50 willpower. So I have 11 times that, right? So we actually have a 15% chance to deal 11 times 2.5. 11 times 2 is 22. 11 times 0.5 is 5.5. So 27.5. So we're doing an additional 27.5 on top of the 50%. So you're going to deal 70, essentially 75%. So a 15% chance to deal 75% bonus damage each time they deal damage. And it's shadow damage over time. Maybe I rework this node later on. I just couldn't think of anything better to put here. And it's nice to still have a source of shadow time or shadow damage over time, because you want to be applying this effect anyways. So might as well have something that goes with it. I couldn't think of another board. Maybe there's another board I could be thinking about, and maybe I'll rework that later on. So essentially that's the Paragon board. Again, like I said, I'm a ways off. I've leveled most of my glyphs to 21. Control, Darkness, and Sacrificial. Like I said, the order I would go is Sacrificial, Darkness, and then Control, and Amplified last, because that's the one you put in the last in your board. But it does, as you can see, it's giving us bonus damage to elites. We're getting almost 30% additional damage to elites, and it's only going to go up every time I level it. So it'll probably end up being anywhere from 35 to 40% extra damage to elites by the end, in addition to additional dexterity and willpower. And if I ever wanted to go for this willpower node or these all res nodes, I'd also get the benefits there. Let's just go to character. Sorry this is taking so long. I know I'm a little bit long in the tooth, but I just feel that this is something that if you're a necromancer, take a look. This could be. I feel like a lot of these are catch-alls, especially the 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 gear that you want. So we'll just go over that. So I'll say the aspects that you'll want are going to be the aspects that you want are going to be explosive mist. You're going to want disobedience. You're going to want shielding storm. You're going to want ghost walker. You're going to want decay. You're going to want blighted. You're going to want ultimate shadow. You're going to want blood soaked. And then you could choose, depending on whether you're running a shadow build or not, you could probably take off the decay. And then I'm also running the damned. So that's the Iron Maiden and Decrepify. Overall, and then you could do the last one. I'm looking for another thing other than the Howl from Below, because they fear the enemies and it chases them away. Plus, I want the extra int, all stat, and then crit chance. I think that would make the glove slot insane, and then I basically get a free stat there. There's a lot of utility nodes or utility aspects you could use. You could also switch that with this one, the Blood Mist triggers corpse, or some other one. There's a lot of things you can do. So there's a lot of mix and matching you can do. And then finally, I'm sorry again, I know this is a long video. You want to have in your top spot. This is kind of what Nakabon went over. I just want to kind of reiterate what I chose. So Ami, I have a really good speed running amulet. Again, this is great for my build specifically because it has the amp damage on there, but most classes run curse anyway, so the amp damage is usually welcome. It's basically just 9% increased damage. And then it has ranks to all corpse skills, which is great. Perfect movement speed, perfect cooldown reduction. You're always going to want, in my opinion, movement speed and cooldown reduction. You could change the ranks of all corpse skills and the amplified damage to % armor and damage reduction if you're going to run higher rifts. I haven't been able to really get there yet. I've only gotten up to, I think a 62 is the most I've ever done. And that's pretty, that's kind of my limit right now, just because it takes so much to keep going, and I would need a lot more damage reduction in order to make that happen. For rings, you would want crit chance, crit damage, lucky hit, and max life, in my humble opinion, for each of them. I know that's really hard to roll. I don't even know if it's possible to roll something that good, but right now, I got crit strike, lucky chance, and here I got crit strike. And then, stunned and slowed for me is really good, so I got that for both of them. Then for your focus, you want to do lucky hit chance, cooldown reduction, crit strike chance, and then I feel like the fourth one is a kind of a freebie. Usually you want to get some more damage reduction, so damage reduction from damage over time, shadow damage over time. In this case, I rolled all stat, which I'm actually not too sad about because it helps us with reach our different breakpoints in terms of making sure that we're getting all the bonuses in our Paragon board. Here, for your weapon, I would love for this to have crit damage on it, but other than that, I'm really happy with the all stat and the intelligence roll, and then it has slowed and close, which isn't the worst. I think you could also go for damage to crowd controlled. Again, my build doesn't really use vulnerable. I don't know if that's I know you have a 20% chance. I don't think you have a 20% chance to make things vulnerable. You just have a 20% flat chance, vulnerable damage. Yeah, you have a 20% flat vulnerable damage, but I don't have anything on my build that makes enemies vulnerable, so I actually don't even have to worry about the vulnerable bucket. I assume that I would want to normally, and that's why people run the corpse tendrils, but like I said, playing on controller, casting a random corpse tendrils across the map that pulls my enemies in some random location, I don't really see how that's going to be beneficial to me. And like I said, with Bone Storm up, you're getting 63.5% crit. Put the gloves on, you're talking 70% crit chance. other than that, I really think you just want to increase your crit damage at that point. And then you're just talking about some serious damage. And then once you got all your crit damage and all that focus, then you can focus on the damage reduction from your amulet, damage reduction from your boots, or any int all stat from your boots and gloves. And then you can focus on all the damage reduction on your helm, your pants, helm, chest, and your pants. As we go up, we got Ghost Walkers. I would love to have intelligence all stat on these, in addition to, I think on boots you can also roll fortify generation, which I think is really awesome, because you do get fortified by your, what is it? Like I said, from your ability, the Carapace. You fortify for your base life, which I think is really awesome. And then if you ever overpower, casting spells that overpower reduces the cooldown. So you have to overpower, funneling into Blood Mist. So, and overpower only happens 3% of the time, so it's not like common, but you'll see the numbers stack up. And you deal tons of damage with overpower, because overpower is just insane when you hit it. Then we got the pants. I just have fire res on these because I just figured I'd roll something that, or I was just looking for boots that had honestly high int and all stat, but I could only find dexterity, but it helps me pass the 450% or 450 dex breakpoint. Sorry, I'm getting a little in the weeds here. Then for the pants, you're going to want basically at all times, you're going to want armor percent, damage reduction, damage reduction from distant, and damage reduction from close. You could also roll max life on these, and corpse explosion is good because I'm running more speed clears right now, because I need to farm the damage reduction gear that I'll need to be able to push the higher levels. That's where I'm at right now, because I haven't been min-maxing my build since day one. But this was, honestly, I'm making this video not only for you guys, but for me, so I know exactly what it is I'm trying to do with my build as I level up. And the best part is, you don't need any uniques. You don't need any uniques in order to do all. You need really, really, really good legendaries. You need really good legendary aspects, and you need to, farm good yellows. But overall, you can basically just run piecemeal until you get to the next level. Howl from Below, again, I found these at such a low level. I was like level 60 or something. I've had these for almost 30 levels. I've tried to change them out. I just have never found the golden lucky hit, crit chance, int all stat. I just haven't found that. I haven't even really been able to find int lucky hit, crit chance. I just haven't been able to find that. So I think I might have one pair of gloves that has lucky hit and then int all stat, but it doesn't have crit chance on it. So I really just haven't found the lucky hit crit chance that I would. And so honestly, anything with lucky hit crit chance is what you want on your gloves. And then after that, you can do what you want, but I definitely highly suggest main stat all stat. Basically, that's what it is. You want main stat all stat on your weapon, main stat all stat on your boots, and then main stat all stat on your gloves. Again, pants, percent total armor, damage reduction from distant, damage reduction from close. Again, that's why you want max life on your rings, because if you get max life on your rings, that's amazing, because then you're basically just using up all the damage slots for the crit strike, the crit damage, the lucky hit, and then you get max damage. That's amazing. And then, like I said, here you can put damage reduction here for pushing. So this is more, right now I'm more of a speed farming build. It's basically what you have to do anyways in order to be able to farm the gear for the later levels. So that's where I'm at in my play right now. And I figured I'd get better at 100, and so we'll just keep running until I get to 100, or until Season 1 starts, whichever comes first. Here you see the chest armor. The chest armor, I think, has a little bit of wiggle room. You definitely want the armor percent. You could possibly get maximum life. You definitely want damage reduction, and you could get damage reduction from shadow damage over time, or you could damage reduction from close distant. I was unable to roll straight damage reduction on this, which I thought would have been godly, because that 15% damage roll. I don't know exactly what bucket it goes into, but I saw it and I thought it was great. So I kept the 15% damage. Honestly, this is the best piece of armor I have anyways, so we'll see what happens. And then here, basically, I got the three pack, the cooldown reduction, the maximum life, and the total percent armor. And then as far as the other ability, you'd want that to be blank, so you can go take that. Unfortunately, this is a Necromancer helm, but if I ever got a helm that was just a regular helm, I would give it to you'd want to make a sorceress, and you want to give it to her so that, or them, because it's it can be whatever. You want to give the helm to them so that they can roll it and make it a lucky hit chance with a barrier up. That's another best in slot. But you want the cooldown reduction, maximum life, total armor, and then the last one could be intelligence, could be willpower, could be all stat. If you can roll it, not too bad. But best in slot would be to give it to a sorc or a wizard and have them roll it for you. And then not a friend either, because then it would be account bound. So you'd have to make your own sorc and then have them do it. So overall, again, that's kind of how the build works. You're just kind of laying down your curses, and then you're running Infinimist as well. It's just Infinimist with double curse as opposed to corpse tendrils, which is what every necro I've been seeing has been running. For me, it just didn't work. And you'll notice that everything's pretty balanced. Damage versus slow, damage versus stunned, damage versus healthy, damage versus injured is really high. I like that. Damage with shadow. Damage with shadow at time is pretty low. So do with that as you will as far as the wither board. I just really like the wither board because I don't think there's many other options. I could look into that later, but I was definitely running huge shadow damage over time until I switched off of Scourge. So I might change to a different board, but I'll have to Google that and figure that one out. I didn't really think about that before I made this video, so that's my fault. But overall, guys, that's kind of how the build works. I hope that you've been enjoying this, the beginning of Diablo. I think that they're going to be doing some really good stuff to come. I guess I'll just go over this. For the skirmisher, for the sacrifice board, we got skirmisher, critical strike. Then we got bone mages. I did overpower because I'm not doing any vulnerable damage. I just do overpower, so because whenever it hits, I might as well get that going. And then I went for the 30% increased critical strike damage over the max life. I feel that if I get that on my rings, possibly on my pants or my chest, you're talking a serious amount of life that you don't really need to be worried about increasing your life percent total later on. And then also getting the bonuses from all of your defensive skills and stats. So I may or may not advocate for getting max life on all your pieces of gear. That's a possibility, but I mean there's wiggle room, and that's what I like about this. Is even in this very specific build, there's different layers of what you could accomplish depending on what it is you're trying to do in the game. And I feel like that's really awesome, and this is a very specific build for me and for any other double curse necros out there. Maybe you watch this video and this is something that you'd be interested in as well. Sorry for the long video. This is just gonna be my last post because I'm gonna probably just start grinding, and I'm gonna start real life in it for now. So hope you guys are all having a good one. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. And remember, it's Mr. Big Nate, and I'll catch you guys next time.